George, I think the ladies do not understand the magic of wine.
Indeed. 'Twas honest old Noah first planted the vine and mended his morals by drinking its wine. And justly the drinking of water decried, for he knew that all mankind by drinking it died. From this piece of history, plainly we find that virtue and safety in wine by being found, and all that drink water deserve to be drowned.
It's the first time since Patsy was alive that George has laughed. Oh, thank God for Will. I do hope he's not serious about returning to England.
We could never leave our dearest friends. You know that. How much like boys at play they still are.
We'll leave both saws on the table. They'll be in the shed across the drive.
Nellie believes Jack to be quite miserable in New York. It would be a great mercy if he were reunited with his beloved.
Have you changed your mind?
Yes, dear, I have. I think we should give our consent.
Now, I've done with playing the ogre who opposes young love. Please, go comfort the child. Do what you wish. Don't consult me in this matter again.
Colonel Washington. I sometimes forget what a great disappointment you've had to bear. You've lost Patsy. I know Jackie is not the son you would have wanted. And you deserve children of your own.
Please, don't. We've talked about this too many times. If it's not God's will, what can we do?
George! George! I have news! They've done it! I've done it, George. Private citizens, disguised as Indians, have dumped a cargo of British tea into Boston Harbor.
Yes, I've heard.
Well, you're not stirred. But George, so bold, so final an act as this must force the ministry to face the truth of our rage.
And invite their rage as well.
Ah, what? Will they dispatch regiments across the ocean to force us to drink their tea?
Such lawlessness only gives the British further excuse to punish us, as General Gage has promised. I have work to do.
Well, good God, man, what else could they have done? Our Massachusetts friends have...
Our Massachusetts friends have made a grave mistake.
Your world is about to go up in flames, and all you can think about is making a house bigger. You can't ignore history, George.
Oh, by God, I can. If only it will ignore me.
Gentlemen, please, your attention, please.
The chair recognizes Mr. Henry.
Mr. Chairman, fellow members, let this document, which a writer brought this morning, speak for itself. An act of British Parliament has ordered the port of Boston to be entirely shut up, leaving barely so much of the means of subsistence as to keep us from perishing with cold and hunger.
Councillors and judges of this province are to be replaced by appointees of the King. General Gage, with an army of 5,000 redcoats and the backing of the fleet from Halifax, will assume the office of military governor of Massachusetts, and henceforth all British soldiery is exempt from civil justice. Once again, the damnable ministry uses a sledgehammer to crush a flea. Outraged that a few chests of British tea be dumped into the ocean, they would, in retaliation, starve women and children. My friends, if Boston be humbled into submission, then we could be next. They could close Hampton roads. Gentlemen, will you support Massachusetts in her hour of need? say you, gentlemen? What say you?
And by so outrageously punishing Boston, the British have forced us to band together. We voted to put Virginia on a military footing and to call a Continental Congress. Virginians and New Englanders have in common what really matters: the determination not to bow to injustice.
I have not heard you so eloquent.
Well, I wish I were as eloquent at the assembly as I am in front of these burning logs.
George, I hesitate to tell you this. The Fairfaxes were here for Sunday dinner. Will and Sally feel it is imperative they return to the mother country. It seems his English inheritance is still in a tangle.
No, that's not the real reason they're being driven from...
Sally spoke as if they might never return. They leave at the end of the week. What can I do for you, Sally?
The loading. Could you please see that they place the trunks properly?
Yes.
I'd like to be alone for a moment in the garden. Please call for me when my husband's ready to leave.
Let me never walk down these stairs again. It's hard to believe. I promised Sally I would not be maudlin. I would remember only the happy times. Think happy thoughts. Do rent it to someone trustworthy, eh?
Of course.
Now, we don't intend to auction all our belongings. Thank you for doing all this. Certain pieces with special meaning we're taking with us. Others we're leaving behind for people we particularly care for. I've tagged the various pieces so you'll know. You've always admired my desk. I want you to have it.
No, Will, I...
George, there's so much I owe you. We've had many fine hours together, my friend. Haven't we?
Enough to last a lifetime.
Well, I must give final instructions to Samuel for the staff. Meet you at the carriage.
I must see the rest of these trunks. Sally is outside. Go to her, George.
I was thinking of the time when you were ill, and I put the candle in my window so you would know I was thinking of you. My dear George, I won't be able to leave a candle this time.
There are so many things I want to say.
Sometimes things left unsaid are all sweeter.
Morning, Billy.
Morning, sir.
What's the matter, Billy?
Nothing, sir. Mr. Alton is selling off your increase today, sir. He's about to leave for the slave market in Alexandria. It'll be all right.
Mr. Alton! I gave you no authority to sell any of our people.
Colonel, you instructed me to cut costs because of our drought losses.
I've told you before, Mr. Alton, I will not break up families. There will be no sale.
By not selling slaves without your permission, we can go bankrupt.
Joshua, unload them.
You are undermining my authority, Colonel. How can I manage your plantation?
You may not be managing it much longer, Mr. Alton, if you do not follow my instructions.
But, Colonel...
This matter is settled.
Let's hear what the man has to say.
This has nothing to do with the...
Gentlemen, we must agree on a Virginia resolution before the Congress will send them to the King. These non-importation measures Mr. Mason and you propose
Would be a great financial burden.
But Virginia must lead the way. If we refuse to import any goods whatsoever from Great Britain, we could unite the rest of the colonies against these unjust taxes. Hear, hear.
Virginia has always been a traditional leader in this.
Excuse me, Mr. Lee. Could I please draw your attention to Article 17? We urge that during our present difficulties, no slaves ought to be imported. And we declare our honest wish to see that an entire stop forever be put to such wicked, cruel, and unnatural trade.
I fear your proposal has distressed our permitting.
Granted, Mr. Randall. I am a slave owner myself.
But I have stopped purchasing slaves.
I now find the slave trade repugnant and contrary to the principles for which we ourselves here petition.
I agree with Colonel Washington. It must be stopped now.
Gentlemen, we must move on.
Turn your heads away from trying to inflict petty wounds on the great and powerful. Instead, seek a union between their strength and our will. Let's come to terms with the mother country.
Gentlemen, please, your attention. Proceed, Mr. Galloway.
The answer, fellow patriots, is a British-American legislature that will act whenever more than one of the colonies is affected.
Yes.
Under such a plan of union, no taxes could be levied by Parliament or laws passed unless the American legislature agreed.
Mr. John Jay of New York.
The proposal has great merit, sir. And I, for one, second it.
It is a Trojan horse.
Does this plan give up any one liberty?
Only Boston.
Or interfere with any one right? No.
Does the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. John Adams, wish to be recognized?
I do, sir. I say the plan is worthless.
Gentlemen, if it can avert a clash of arms, I think this plan of union with Great Britain makes great sense.
If we capture Colonel Washington, we may see Virginia and the South follow him into our ranks.
I agree, John. Without his support, any opposition to England will be stillborn.
He's here. Remember, he mistrusts politicians and lawyers, which I suppose makes me doubly suspect. Colonel Washington, how generous of you to come.
Colonel, John Adams and his cousin Samuel.
Oh, I'm honored, gentlemen.
The honor is ours, sir. Come, sit down.
Thank you.
Will it be, sir? Madeira, toddy, sling, grog, perhaps flip? They have a very potent flip here, sir, though I haven't tried it myself.
Well, that's a challenge I can't resist. Flip.
And you, sir?
Of Madeira will be fine.
Well, sir, I imagine you need to be caught up to the moment. Does it not stir your heart to see so many of us come together in common interest?
It does indeed, Mr. Adams. Ben Franklin says we'll either hang together or hang separately.
We are no longer 13 isolated colonies, gentlemen, not even to ourselves. If the London newspapers are to be believed, even the British people are on our side. They know that if we lose our freedom, they will be next.
So, we are not alone, and thank God for it.
Am I to drink all of this, lass?
Sir, the tavern keeper hopes it will lift your spirits.
Lift my entire body. Thank the kind gentleman, and yourself, too.
Why such royal treatment for an ordinary Virginia planter?
The regard in which you were held, sir, by all of us in Massachusetts.
Do I detect some purpose in this flattery?
I assure you, it's heartfelt. You are known to prefer candor in your friends. Mr. Galway's plan of union with Great Britain is intended to deflect us from our purpose and make us forget that the mother country will never let us be masters of our own fate. We need your help, Colonel Washington. Either Virginia leads with Massachusetts at her side, or we are lost. The surest way toward peace is to show the king that we are one in our resistance to tyranny.
I doubt that the king will receive such sentiments with the same enthusiasm.
To our Massachusetts brothers.
To our Virginia brothers.
This pier glass set, used by my Lady Fairfax, no doubt in appreciation of the beauty of her person before attending a ball or banquet. May I hear an opening bid?
£2.
10 times that would be cheap. May I have more? £4. Better? May I have 5?
5.
Now we're getting to the spirit. 10. Do I hear 10? Do I hear 10? Do I hear 10? 6. Modest enough. I'm waiting 10. Going? Going? God. Sold to Mr. Trelawney. Before we pass on to the objects d'art, let us dispose of the accessories. The bolster and the pillows of the bed of Mrs. Fairfax. What am I bid? May I have an opening bid?
£1.
Can't we do better with pillows and bolster filled with the down of angels? Do I hear £2? 2. 3. Do I hear 3? Do I hear 3? Well, come, gentlemen. Your wives will thank you for the excellence of your eyes if you'll bid 3. 3. Do I hear 3? Then 2 it is. Going? Going? 3. Thank you, Colonel Washington. 4. Do I hear 4? Do I hear 4? Going? Going? Gone. The pillars of Lady Fairfax to Colonel Washington.
Where's Colonel Washington?
Mr. Mason!
Tragic news, George.
Bloodshed in Boston.
No, not Boston. Some miles away in the village of Lexington. We just got word by dispatch rider from Philadelphia's Committee of Correspondence.
God has happened.
Apparently, the British troops started it, firing on local militia drawn up on the green. Slaughtering in cold blood some 10 Americans, mostly farmers. Later, when they got to Concord, they found more militia, gathered on a hill overlooking the bridge. And there our men fired on the King's troops.
British soldiers were killed?
Yes.
The king will never back down now.
Listen to this, George, from Dr. Joseph Warren, chairman of the Massachusetts Committee for Safety, who calls upon all to raise an army to defend our wives and children from the butchering hands of an inhuman soldiery. George,
I prayed it would never come to this. We'll now face the fury of the most awesome power on earth.
there's no turning back now, my friend. We fight or die.
I put your best breeches and your uniform in the big trunk, where they won't be as easily rumpled.
But my taking that uniform mustn't concern you. I'll wear it only to demonstrate my willingness to lend Virginia forces to the cause if the need arises.
You'd go to Boston to fight the King's soldiers.
We may yet compose our differences.
You don't really believe that, George. Not if you're worried that the British fleet will send ships up the Potomac to bombard Patriot houses.
I wish you hadn't heard that.
I've heard much more than you think these days. My dear, what is happening touches all of us. You can't protect me from it. Would Patriot leaders be taken to England, tried, and hanged as traitors?
They'd have to catch us first.
I want to know. I'm not an ostrich, George. Much better to face danger than pretend it isn't there.
I wish Will and Sally were still with us to look in on you. But Mason with his gouty leg will have to do.
I shall be fine in all things. Except missing you.
I don't want to leave you. But I must.
I know. And I won't worry too much while you're gone. I promise.
Write and tell me how the peach trees are doing that I grafted in March. While I'm gone, I know that you'll look after Mrs. Washington as well as you've taken care of me all these years.
Yes, sir.
I shall miss you, Bridgie.
Thank you, sir.
What Continental Army, Richard? The next time the British march out of Boston, our ragtag New England regiments could well scatter to the winds and our liberty with them. We need a man to unify all factions.
I suppose I should be flattered that you've chosen a fellow Virginian, but Washington has only fought savages from behind trees. What does he know about European battle tactics?
He'll learn.
When, Mr. Adams, he'll face the greatest army in the world. You think they'll give him time to learn? Come now.
Are you trying to push Horatio Gates on me again? The man is but 3 years in this country.
But he was a major with the British regulars. He's a professional, and so indeed is Charles Lee.
But in the Polish army, sir. And he is also British. A bit strange.
I know what you're up to, Mr. Adams. You choose a Virginian in order to involve the South in the defense of Massachusetts. But what if your own New Englanders refuse to serve under Washington?
By God, they had better. We need one strong commander-in-chief and one army. Not 13 squabbling militia, as happened with those troops under Benedict Arnold, yes, and Ethan Allen of New Hampshire captured the British fort Ticonderoga within the borders of New York without telling the officials there first. And now New York and New Hampshire are at each other's throats again.
There he is, gentlemen.
You will have to knock a few heads if he's to unify us.
Knowing that, will he accept the post?
If not, then why is he always wearing that uniform? I think the man hungers for this new command. While I, poor creature, worn out with scribbling for my liberty, cannot wear the laurels which should be mine. Oh, that I were a soldier.
Will you, Mr. Washington, accept this supreme command?
Mr. President, though I am truly honored, yet I feel great distress that my abilities and military experience may not match your trust. I will, however, exert every power I possess in service to our glorious cause. I beg the Congress will accept my most cordial thanks for this testimony of their approbation. But let it be remembered by every gentleman in this room that I do not think myself equal to the command you honor me with.
Moment. The New Englanders have just fought a bloody battle at Bunker Hill, and along comes this stranger from Virginia to tell them what to do.
Well, you're only obeying the orders of Congress, and their performance was hardly brilliant. They should have followed up their slaughter of redcoats with an attack on Boston.
Absolutely. They might even have won the battle had they not only misplaced the fortifications, but also run out of gunpowder.
Yes, but for untrained troops, they showed remarkable courage. When we meet them, I want no disparaging comments. There'll be bruised feelings to soothe as it is.
General Artemus Ward, General Stark.
We are honored to have such a gallant New England officer as our second in command. Major General Charles Lee, Horatio Gates, our Adjutant General, and my aides, Colonel Joseph Reed and Colonel Thomas Mifflin. We thank you, General Ward, for arranging our quarters.
I'm at your service, sir, as that is Congress's decision.
I congratulate you for your valiant stand at Bunker Hill.
By God, we would have hurled the redcoats back again if we hadn't run out of ammunition. They overwhelmed us, but paid dearly.
Yes, I was deeply moved by what your men had to endure.
They must have vigorous training and discipline before they ever face the enemy again.
Well, shall we get to know one another over a glass of wine?
We've had a long day, sir, preparing for your arrival, so we respectfully decline your invitation. General Stark will see to your further needs. Welcome to New England, sir, and good day.
You'd rather be alone with your staff, General.
No, actually, I'd rather be alone with you, sir. Gentlemen, why don't you take this time to unpack and settle in? If I may be candid with you, General.
At your service, sir.
Yes, all of you New Englanders are at my service, but not at my table.
I choose to abstain.
And like General Ward, you also choose to be angry at my appointment?
We respect your new rank, sir. What more do you want?
I want you to tell me what you think.
Sir?
Well, you people are famed for your bluntness. Or is that all sham?
This has been, up till now, a Yankee army. We've been the only ones to fight the damn British lobsterbacks. Now they send us generals and precious few troops. And what in the flaming hell did that Congress have in mind putting us under command of a Virginian?
At least tender me the courtesy of time, and perhaps I can prove to you that a Virginian can march with a Yankee. So, I will see you and your troops tomorrow.
Yes, sir.